welcome back to the Johnson Fitness and Wellness Podcast. Today, I am privileged to be joined by Paul Richards, founder of South Wales Garden Rooms. Say hello, Paul.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Perfect. Right, let's get straight into it. Could you start off by telling us a bit about your background, kind of how you got into what you do? Just give us a bit about you, please.
Yeah, sure. So, based in South Wales, Cardiff, South Wales, in a little town called Penarth, and that's where our business is based. Background: spent first sort of 15 years in the leisure industry, working for brands such as Fitness First, DW Fitness. So spent a number of years in the fitness industry before then moving into the retail and merchanting sector. And then through COVID, had the opportunity to perhaps evaluate where my personal career and journey was going, and saw the opportunity with people having to work from home to create a business called South Wales Garden Rooms, creating work from home solutions, which has then led to leisure-based solutions for people from home, and in turn providing lots of home gym-based opportunities as well. So that's just a short background from myself.
Amazing. So you kind of mentioned COVID. Obviously, pre-COVID, you was in the leisure business. Post-COVID, you've kind of got onto what you're doing now. How have you seen the concept of home gyms evolve, let's say, since COVID?
Yeah, no, I mean, so starting the business out, literally right at the end of COVID, probably the biggest focus for me in the business was providing work from home solutions for people that all of a sudden went from full-time in an office-based environment to full-time at home. So managing families, managing kids, managing pets, all of those things became a different scenario for people that were having to work from home versus having to work in an office.
Of course.
That means that also when people were working from home, they didn't have their gym that may be in the city centre of Cardiff, right next to their working office. So all of a sudden, thinking that they may have some more free time because they're going to travel in and out of the city to work, they didn't then have their gym solution, because their favorite gym where they were hanging around with their friends and so forth, and where they were working out with the particular classes, weren't all of a sudden available. Maybe they live in a rural area and there isn't a commercial gym or a local leisure centre to attend. So as time evolved post-COVID, and it wasn't just about work from home solutions, it was also then about lifestyle. So can we utilize garden rooms for a work from home gym? Can we use it for the family, for children as they're growing up to be gaming? And so these environments became far more than just a work from home solution, which overnight was really where most people pressed the emergency button, because they didn't have the space in the home, a spare bedroom or an attic or a dining table. They were fundamentally needing somewhere to work from home, and then they realized this is a great space for other things. So in the last 5 years, we've found the mixes as we've maintained the volume of work from home solutions, but we've also added a strong section, what I would call leisure environments, which are a lot gym based, but also providing other leisure facilities, for instance, gaming for teenagers, or providing a safe environment for older teenagers to hang around with their friends, i.e. dartboard, pool table. The Luke Littler world has gone mad.
100%.
So really, families are now considering these buildings for more than one purpose, which would have been originally working from home, quite frankly.
Amazing. So you mentioned obviously leisure and dartboards and those kind of spaces. We'll touch base on that later. In terms of when a client comes to you and says, I don't know, maybe you've done the work for them previously and you've created a space for their gym, for their workspace, sorry. When a client comes to you and says, I want a space to have my own version of a home gym, what does that generally mean to you?
Yeah, and it's a great question. And we have had that scenario. We've had scenarios where we've done previous work, where we created a home office there was a dedicated space in their garden, and they've realised they've got no capacity to extend that, but they've got a dormant garage.
Mm-hmm.
So no one parks a modern day car in a garage.
No, of course not.
So
it's too much hassle.
Too much hassle, and it generally becomes a collection of array
100%.
of stuff, from a Christmas tree to stuff that's your suitcases for holidays. And people realise, again, you've got 15 square meters to utilize for a home gym. And so we've had clients where we've converted their sort of detached garage or attached garage into that home gym. Or again, back to, we've created a new dedicated environment for a home gym. So back to your question around what specifically do I consider? So first of all, understand what their needs are. It's not about me. I'll create whatever they want. So what is it for? Is it for the mother and father? Is it for their specific workouts? What sport does that relate to? Is it just for personal health? Then also opening up, my son's a great example of this. He's 15. He's not allowed to use a commercial gym, but he is absolutely well into his gym, right? Yeah. So he wants every possibility to be able to train from home and live a healthy lifestyle before he gets to 16, and he can't wait for that 16th birthday to go to a more commercial gym. That's specifically him in his social setting. But I think it's really important to understand who in the family is looking to use the gym. What type of exercise is it? Is it some subscription-based cycling class? Is it a functional fit area? Or is it a traditional free weight style training facility? Because if we look at free weight training, for instance, and let's say somebody has got the ability with the height and space within the environment, they want to be lifting some pretty heavy tin, then fine. What does that look like in terms of when it hits the floor? Do we have to prepare the floor correctly? And what type of product we use to finish that? We have to look at the height. So typically a garden room without any planning permission, sitting within permitted development rights, only allows you to go 2.5 meters in height.
Okay.
So internally, you've only got 2.1, 2.2 meters to play with. So you have to consider the height. And then we have to consider technology. So again, providing a level of broadband and technology in that environment. So do they want to project a screen because they want to be doing some form of training that's going to involve interacting with a screen? Is it going to need a TV? Is it going to need a magic mirror? So magic mirror and virtual PT is becoming a real thing.
Huge,
because,
the
£1,500 mirror versus paying for a personal trainer over a period of time, and maybe not feeling comfortable, whether you're male or female, in having the opposite gender in your home, again, might not feel right. So really the first thing that I do is seek to understand what's the family needs. What is it you're looking to use that environment for, from the type of exercise to the which will then lead to the size and the particular height of an environment, and how we prepare accordingly.
Okay, so you've you've very much touched on your philosophy there about what you think of when designing gyms. So you've done that really well there. You've articulated that perfectly. But do you approach the ones that you do more functional training, or do you kind of approach them as part of lifestyle and design, or do you kind of mix both?
Yeah, so kind of mix both. So you get your dedicated fitness environments. So somebody is only going to use the new garden room space or converting an existing space in the home. They're only going to use that for fitness. So then that becomes, and it needs to be a husband and wife if it's
absolutely,
because you'll have one that'll be very sensitive around the look and feel of that. And I know we'll talk more about equipment and style of equipment as we go through, but there is the aesthetic look. So do we want the grungy, very functional fitness, traditional free weight style environment? And we create a backdrop of that. So the way we decorate, the way we do the lighting, the way we do the flooring, the way we put some Sonos sound music system into the environment.
Nice, yeah.
Somebody just wants to get some heavy metal on and put a good workout in. Or do we want to create an environment where we've got somebody that the wife may be heavily into meditation and yoga, and the husband is into some form of virtual training. So you then got to create an environment that's for Zen. So what does that environment look? It's got a softer feel. It's got a false green wall.
Yep.
It's got softer lighting. It's got a different floor. So you may put a bamboo floor down as opposed to a traditional gym floor. So again, I think the philosophy of how we build the environments for our customers fundamentally comes back to, again, their needs. What specifically does that environment feel like that's going to get you engaged to want to work out? Because if working out was so easy, we wouldn't have an obesity rate that's on the increase. We wouldn't have diabetes on the increase. If everyone loved exercise, then there wouldn't be a need to motivate with choosing the right environment. So we do really think about what does that environment feel like, even down to smart switch technology, that when the garden room's at the end of the garden and they get up in the morning, they look out and it's raining and it's dark and it's miserable.
Like now.
Like it is every day in Wales, by the way, at the moment.
It's the same in London, mate, don't worry.
Yeah, there we go. So it's not just Wales.
No.
But anyway, that we've got the technology. They can go onto their phone, they can switch the heating on, they can switch the air conditioning on if they want that colder environment. They can switch the lighting on, so when they go out and they're a bit more motivated for the environment they work in. So I think it's really down to the individual. Some people want that tranquility, that peacefulness for mind and body for yoga, and somebody wants that real traditional gym environment with the pump going on. And then we have to maybe consider acoustic insulation and acoustic paneling to keep that noise pollution potentially that's going to spread to neighbours. So
it's almost like you've watched these before, because you're going through every single one of my future questions already. I love it.
That's okay.
So if you get a fresh inquiry, someone picks up the phone and says, "Look, I've got this amount of space," which is probably one of the answers to this question, actually. So I won't pre-reference it. So fresh inquiry, someone says, "Look, I want a new space in my garden. What are the first three things you would consider? And what's the first three things you think about when you get that inquiry?"
No, for sure. So again, just touching on some of the sort of the stuff that's important for the customer. One, what is the space that they've got to work with versus their needs? So first of all, we book a dedicated appointment. So we come out to see that customer. We come out to their garden environment or where there's a garage conversion, and we understand specifically what the site looks like. We understand, of course, what their needs are, which we've just talked about heavily, so I won't reiterate that. And then ultimately, that then kind of dictates the size of the room that they require and the height of the room that they require. They, of course, can increase the height of their room. They just need to go down planning permission to do that. And so if that means they've got to wait 12 to 15 weeks to get the right size environment, they might want to add a toilet to that area or a shower, because they might want to go into alternative therapies such as cold water therapy, sauna, steam room. So again,
massively on the up.
Hugely on the up. Hugely on the up. And the two really complement each other well.
Absolutely.
So I think, do I categorize into three things? So first of all, the survey and understanding a customer's needs creates a build, design, and environment, and then we, of course, execute that build and align to the customer's needs. And then probably the fourth thing, which I know we'll talk about a bit later, is then aligning that to, do they understand where they're going to get their equipment from? Do they know, the great equipment that you guys at Johnson's supply is that ability to have equipment that links to somebody's aesthetic needs versus their functional needs.
Absolutely.
Get both, especially if those environments become nearer to the main footprint of the house. So if it's an actual dedicated room or it's an extension of the garage, how does that really work? So again, it's really important to get those things knitted together.
Amazing. You kind of touched on it there, but I'll ask the question briefly anyway. How much does understanding the client's fitness habits kind of affect the way you design your spaces?
Yeah, massively. So it's probably in my background in the leisure industry and selling memberships, I'll really understand what's their commitment currently. So because somebody's going to be spending between 20 and 50,000 pounds on this garden room environment in this dedicated area of their garden, right? So I'm not just going to say, well, thank you very much for that business, and I'll build you whatever you want, but they never get to use it, because in 12 months' time, when I do a service call and say, hey, how's things going? How's the building environment? Are you getting the best out of it? So, we haven't been there for 6 months. that doesn't feel like that's a great service that I'm providing.
Yeah, amazing.
And more importantly, the more that they're using it and the better they feel when they are then catching up with friends and family, there's more likely that they're going to refer us
100%.
for future business. So I think it's really understanding what's your personal commitment currently. Has your work environment changed from, like I said, you're up in London 2 or 3 days a week, you're working in the city.
Yeah.
You're not going to go home to find a gym. You're just going to go to the nearest commercial gym or whatever environment that is, and you're going to currently work out there. Oh, that's changed. Okay. So how often do you go to the city? I'm only going there once a month now. I work from home full time otherwise. Okay. Where do you live? I live out in the rural area. Okay. So what does that mean? It means I got no gym locally. Okay. So you're going to be now at home. Yes. What's your children's situation like? Oh, I've got a 15-year-old. He's desperate to train, but he can't join a commercial gym. And also, I've got nowhere to go anyway with him.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're getting mum and son, father and daughter training together. You're getting group online class going together. So that could be some form of yoga, could be a Zumba class.
Yeah.
So again, it's really understand what is it specifically that you've been doing in the past. What is it you really hate and that you're never going to do? Because
there's no point putting that in there.
Yeah, you've asked me to put this squat rack in, but you say you don't squat, and you never will. And we're going to put planning in for an additional height to be able to put a squat rack in, and you're never going to use it. So why don't we look at some sort of cable-based functional training equipment, which you are going to use, and we can then support that with, whatever other type of piece of equipment that's related to their training needs, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's really important. And then if they're going to bring outdoor to indoor, so for instance, somebody wants to use functional training, but they want to support it with using their road bike set up on a turbo trainer, how does that environment look? Because that bike might not be clean. They're not going to clean it every time they bring it to the garden room. So how do we integrate outdoor equipment into an indoor space and vice versa? And then we even take that further. So people are now spending significant amounts of money on e-bikes or road bikes, mountain bikes, and actually using that as art. So think about storage. Where are you going to store those bikes? Oh, I haven't thought about that. Okay, well, let's create storage. So so your wall art is the things that are really important to you. Your road bike is hooked and mounted correctly on the wall. Your golf clubs are mounted correctly on the wall. So actually, when people go into that environment, it's their true sporting lifestyle, and it becomes quite motivational.
100%. Okay, so kind of moving on to like the space and the layout kind of thing. When someone comes to you and says, look, I'm really short on space, this is kind of, and I'm sure people do this all the time, and I'm sure you'll agree here, is people will come to you and say, look, I'm really short on space, but I've got these 12 different bits of equipment that I really want, that please work out how to fit them in. And it then becomes your problem to kind of manage that expectation and work out how to do that. What are some smart things that you do to kind of help with those customers that come along with small space ideas?
Yeah, so I think there's two things. One, be realistic. The process of what is it that you would, if there was 10 pieces of kit, tell me the first two that you would use, and tell me the last two that you'd never use.
Yeah,
you very quickly get a 20% swing straight away, and then you understand maybe the 6 in the middle. Okay, cool. How many of those things can relate to the training that you now wish to do? And then go to a dedicated equipment supplier and look at what they have available. So we go through that as part of our consultation and say, look, actually, if we get a cable machine here mixed in with some kettlebells and some dumbbells and adjustable bench, aligned with the aesthetics that your wife is looking for, your husband's looking for, your partner's looking for, you tend to find the solution quite quickly.
People
absolutely. Then do tend to fall into certain cohorts of how they want to train. And then that indoor-outdoor thing is, okay, in the last 12 months, how many times have you used a turbo trainer versus how many times you've got out on the road? So understand the cyclists. Are they really going to use it indoor? Are they really going to use it outdoor? Some people cycle indoor, never go outside.
100%.
So again, it's understanding very quickly an honest appraisal of how they have exercised in the past and how they're going to move into that in the future. And are they complementing these home gym environments with a commercial gym space still? Because you also get the hybrid trainer, right? So
absolutely, 100%.
they go, cool, the 2 days a week that I work from home, I'm going to train at home.
Yeah.
But the 3 days a week I'm up in London, I'm going to go to a commercial gym space because
but it's like like personally for me, I train in a commercial gym. It's what I train. However, I don't do ab workouts in a commercial gym. I do them at home.
Yeah.
And I don't do push-ups in a commercial gym. I do my push-ups at home. And I've got resistance bands for bicep workouts at home. And I've got a few free weights for a certain different. They're like hybrid is definitely up there with what a lot of people do. Now, there are certain aspects of hybrid that, for example, like me, I do hybrid because it's more convenient for me. I go to the gym to do the stuff that I can't do at home in the gym. I know I can do my push-ups. I know I can do my sit-ups. I know I can do my resistance band bicep stuff all at home. I don't need to do that in the gym. So I go to the gym to do my functional training and my biceps, my bench press, my, so on and so forth. That's kind of how I do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think then there's also a market that I probably haven't spoken about yet is those with all these rate and rent reviews that are going around the UK, the leisure industry, the bar and in the restaurant industry are probably finding that quite tough right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's only going to get more challenging. So we are now getting a space where you've got a dedicated personal trainer that would be in a commercial gym space at the moment, paying a traditional rent or a percentage cut, and actually going, well, hang on a minute, I've spent £25,000 in central London paying for gym rent over the last X amount of time. But my top 10 clients all live around where I live. And actually I could have a home studio and actually take my business back to my home and then bring my clients to my home. Yoga, meditation, mental health counseling. So we have a sizable number of clients that are taking their business from commercial space, rented space somewhere, and bringing that back home.
For sure.
So again, fathers that are homeschooling or bringing their newborn child up while the wife goes back to work, or vice versa. But they're working in the industry, or they're working in mind and body. They want to be able to have these environments. So I think there's also that market. And of course, they'll have their specific needs based around their specific business model. So
for sure. Okay, so back on kind of space and layout. How important is zoning in your designs?
Yeah, no, I think I mentioned that earlier. Around you very rarely does the whole family want to do one style of training.
Of course.
So again, in the larger gym environments, we have the ability to actually section off a gym. So whether you have two entrances, because the two daughters are into commercial dance, and they want an environment that's they've got Sonos tech or music tech. They've got a soundproof environment. They want a video content. We're more and more in a world where people want to video themselves and share that with their friends, their family, the socials. They want to create content. So you may have an environment. We built a lovely dance studio, but they wanted a work from home office on the side. So wise, clearly the work from home office didn't work within the same space of a dance studio. So we just separated that out. We used the appropriate acoustic sound block and so forth. Again, when you look at somebody that's a dedicated cyclist versus somebody that's into their mind and body and yoga, and then the ever-increasing market where we then create the indoor-outdoor space. So we would have a garden room environment with a covered area and a decked area that somebody would go, right, I'm going to have a full-on spin class. But then I'm going to go and do, they're going to go into an infrared sauna, fantastic quality products out there now, an infrared sauna that is not much bigger than your wardrobe. You're into the infrared sauna, out then into the decked area, cold water therapy, 60 seconds in a -4 or a +4, whichever works for you, back into the environment, an infrared sauna, and then a stretch and relax. So that space is becoming a really big growth market for us as well.
100%. So when you're designing your spaces, and as you'll be fully aware of this, considering you've had all the years of experience in the world that we live in. Do you design your spaces with if I can get my words out,
Uh,
adaptility in mind,
yeah,
in the sense of everyone's fitness journey starts at one place.
definitely.
However, in 5 years' time, that one space is no longer necessary from where you started. So how do you design your spaces? How do you kind of do that with that kind of forefront on your
Yeah,
mind?
I think one of your first questions was how do we create a philosophy? How do we create an environment that's suitable? I talk a lot about that, saying your gym space today, your home gym today slash hybrid workspace today may
Hmm.
change in the future. So let's think about your building that's going to take you through the time of your children. You've got a 9-year-old, a 15-year-old, and an 18-year-old. Right now, your 18-year-old's looking for this, your 15-year-old's looking for that, and
Yeah.
your 9-year-old's just looking for a sleepover environment for him and his friends.
Yeah.
Okay, and that may stereotypical, maybe stereotypical in some ways, but forgive me for that.
No, 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 absolutely. Yeah, yeah, I get it.
But
100%.
mum and dad want to do yoga together, and they want to do cold water therapy because they're
Yeah.
currently going to the local beach in Penarth, and they're dipping in the sea at 6 o'clock in the morning when they want to actually do it at home.
Yeah.
They want it. So we really talk to our clients right at the front end, going, okay, so your work environment currently is a hybrid. 50-50 in the city, 50-50 at home. Your kids currently want to touch this environment in some way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
But your children in 5-6 years' time will have left home potentially.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Or somebody's really dedicated to, they want to do a triathlon or they want to do an Ironman. Okay, so that's typically 3 dedicated sports. We're not creating a swimming pool environment here. So you're going to do your swimming down the leisure centre or a commercial gym. You're going to do your running and you're going to do your cycling at home. Okay,
Yeah.
what does
Yeah.
that look like? So again, when we consider the environments, we consider what we put in strength into walls. So if somebody wants to do suspension-based training, they can then fix an anchor to that. They want to do boxing style training. So what we do is we provide a footprint, an environment that's adaptable to a number of things.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't have to immediately use all of those things, but they have a potential to do that. So part of the design build, we give them a structural diagram of what we've built infrastructure into the building
Yeah.
that allows them to do that. Some may say, I don't know if I've got the investment to put air conditioning in now. Okay, cool. Well, let's create the opportunity that you can future-proof that.
Yeah.
So let's make sure we've got an area that we can bring that into your environment, or you want to put some music into the environment, or for instance, right now, acoustic paneling, the vertical acoustic paneling is really trendy, but
Yeah.
also got a real benefit in terms of sound. But
Yeah.
in the future, that might not be the trend of the
100%.
thing. So I think that if we build environments that provide for today and for the future, then that person gets more value from their asset. What I don't want to hear when I service call somebody in 12 months' time is that they actually don't use that environment no more, because that doesn't do my brand any good whatsoever.
No, 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 100%.
And it doesn't feel right that the customers spend their hard-earned money on something they don't get the best use out of.
Amazing. So when it comes to styles, what styles do you currently find are people like regularly asking for? So what do you think's trending at the moment?
Yeah, so the indoor outdoor area is really on the influx. So somebody that wants that indoor gym environment for the vile conditions that we currently go through in the UK at the moment, weather-wise. So somewhere where they go, I'm going to be dry, I'm going to be motivated, I'm going to be warm, or I'm going to be cool, however the environment they want to create is motivational for them to train. But actually, come the summer months when we had the fantastic weather last year, they can pull back the patio sliding doors, or they can pull back the bifold, and they've got a nice decked area or a lawned area,
Yeah.
and actually the family do a group circuit class. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So Millie's on the bike, Billy's on the cross trainer, and mum and dad are out on the grass doing shuttle runs.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
create that environment. And I think also one of the real increasing things you'll see now with, let's take football as a great example. Both girls and boys at a young age now have never had so much opportunity to improve their personal skill set. So
Yeah.
they've got rebounders, they've got walls to knock balls against, they've got ladders to do their little exercises,
Yeah.
and more parents are really encouraging their children at a young age to do sport or football specific exercise
Yeah.
to improve either their skill set or their stamina or both.
100%.
And then recording that, sharing that, and that's become something that's really, really trendy at the moment. So as opposed to just a traditional goal that dad's in goal and the son's taking a shot at, actually it's evolved into fitness levels for a 6-7-year-old linked into skills. So again, can you do that within gym environment? Of course you can. So I think in the winter months, it's having an environment where most of the time they're going to be indoor. And they can do whatever they wish to do. But also in the summer months, especially in some beautiful gardens that we work in, you open that out and you've got that indoor-outdoor environment. Amazing. And then obviously, then you've got mind and wellness. Then you've got your hot tubs, your cold water therapy bars. I mean, you know, that market is just exploding. Yeah, and obviously linking back to people's personal mental health and that balance between physical and mental health.
Amazing. So you kind of touched on it earlier, and actually in a little bit in the response of the last question. Yeah. How do you use materials like lighting, textures, that kind of stuff to motivate like calmness and just I suppose to get motivation up?
Yeah, no, definitely. So if you take somebody that wants a tranquil yoga environment, they're not going to want to have bright light. They're not going to want to have spotlights directly above in the flat ceiling, for instance. Mm-hmm. So because they're going to be lying down, doing their poses, doing their flow, and the last thing they want is a certain light shining in their face. So we'll take a softer lighting approach, or we use dimmable switches. But also we've had a customer that wanted to use obviously lots of candles. Yep. So we created a gravel channel on the inside of the garden room, so it was safe should the wax obviously spoil over. They weren't going to create a fire environment. So we do really consider what is the environment that somebody that wants that type of exercise. Again, go to the person that loves a free weight environment, wants that real grungy gym environment or garage conversion environment. That's all about the right heavy lifting equipment and a heavy lifting platform, so that when they're exercising to their max, they got somewhere they can release that weight and drop without damaging the weight or the floor. But again, then you've got a dance studio environment. Somebody wants mirrors, so they want to see what they're doing. Same with yoga, they want their flow. They want to see their flow and how they're doing their posture. So, and again, if somebody's looking to do suspension-based training or boxing training, have they got certain items they need to hang? How does that then relate to the structure that we build? So the look and the feel is really important. It's really, really important. And also storage. So again, if they're a yoga environment, they're doing it commercially, they've got 4 or 5 clients coming over for a yoga class. Where's the yoga mats going? Where's the equipment they're using in that class going? Boxer size, and so on and so forth. So again, where do they store that stuff? How do they heat the environment? How do they cool the environment? Yoga as an example, they don't want that traditional heat above ground, so we put underfloor heating in place. So again, it's just really thinking about, back to that first question, what is your specific needs? How are you looking to use the environment? And then we align the design to that. And then very much there will be somebody within the household that has an eye on what does it look and feel like, as much as what's the functionality of the equipment and the space that they're using. So, yeah.
Okay. So moving on to collaboration. When you're working with a gym equipment brand like ourselves, what does effective collaboration look like to you?
Yeah, so effective collaboration looks like I have a finite period where a customer, and that finite period is getting less and less as accessibility to information is so easily got these days, and AI evolves as it does.
I was just going to say, all you do is ask ChatGPT one question now, and it's there. It's everything's ready for you. So and
I'm aware of that. So I could simply sit with the customer on an iPad and say, ChatGPT, create a gym environment 5 meters by 3 meters for my customer, and we'd get probably 85% of the answer that we're looking for in the time it would take the kettle to boil. However, the point of difference that we believe we have, we would work with the partners like yourselves to find the right equipment aligned to a particular person in the household that's all about the look and the feel, and creating furniture-like look and feel. So when the gym is not in use, especially those footprints that are nearer to the main home, What does that look and feel like? Because that's really important, because it's a showpiece, just like the dining room, the lounge, the home cinema area. It is important. And so we would want to be able to sit down with the likes of yourselves, which we've done in the past, and say, hey, this is the space that we've got.
Yeah.
This is the functionality and the reasons that the customer has got for this gym space in the first place. But I'm really lost on some of the equipment, because they currently want to use 8 pieces of kit, and I need to quench that down into about 4. Yeah. So could you help us with what that look and feels like? Oh, and by the way, she doesn't want the traditional gym look. Yeah. She wants something that's furniture-esque. She wants something very slick, very high class looking. And so that's really important to us, because I think that's the 15% gap that AI doesn't produce, because it's 100%. Not bespoke enough.
100%.
And that hopefully is the difference between somebody choosing us and working with the likes of yourselves, as opposed to just having to go on AI and then just going on the internet,
hoping for the best.
And any fitness supplier, right?
100%. Okay, so next question: how early in your design process is speccing out the fitness equipment?
Yeah, really important. So one of the first things when somebody says, I want to run on a treadmill, I go, cool, you're 6'2", right? They go, yeah, okay. Your traditional garden room at 2.5 meters with a 2.2 meter internal height isn't going to be high enough.
No.
It's the first question I ask. Yeah. How tall are you? 6'2". You want to use a treadmill, traditional treadmill? Yeah, it's not going to work for you in this room. So they go, oh, what? I can't have a garden room? Of course you can. We just need to step that through. So what it looks like is we're going to go for planning permission. We're going to increase your height. That gives you 3 meters. The great news, you want a ski erg as well, and you want some functional training and some cable work, and you want some suspension-based training. We're going to do it all. You can have Olympic rings. You can have the lot.
Yeah.
We've now got the extra 2.5 meters in height. And so very quickly somebody says, oh, right, okay, thank you. I thought you were going to say no to me. No, not at all. But the equipment, 100% in gym space environment, does dictate the build quite significantly, compared to somebody just wants it for a gaming environment. That just becomes around seating, plan,
standard
look and the feel. Yeah. So it's really important, that question, because we've had somebody come back to us saying, can you increase the height of our garden room that we've had built by somebody else? And I go, why? And they go, because I can't get on my treadmill. It just wasn't thought through, And hey, again, that's hopefully the point of difference that between we can provide. And of course, 100%. Like yourselves, provide different treadmills and different equipment that hopefully can allow them to do what they need to do.
For sure. Okay, right. Final question. It's a bit of a fun one. If budget was no matter, like you won the Euro Millions, budget means absolutely nothing to you. What does your ideal space for you and the family look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think personally, I've got a 15-year-old son. He would want an environment very much functional fit training environment. He'd want to integrate some tech into that, because that's what they do at their age, and have that. So the look and the feel would be very much probably like a commercial gym that's out there, and bring that to home. That was what would be really important, and big enough for him to be able to do that with 2 or 3 of his mates.
For sure.
Probably have some big, sick screen that allows them to then have whatever YouTube music thing they're following, and motivate them that way, which would then probably turn into a big sofa for them to game. So that would probably
basically what you're saying here is what you'd want don't matter, because it's the 15-year-olds. It's his world, and you're just living in it.
Doesn't matter what money you got, the 15-year-old is going to dictate that.
100%.
And then off the back of that, for me personally, it would just be an extension out into functional training. I do yoga on a weekly basis, so it will allow me to do online yoga if I can't get to that particular class on a regular basis. And then actually, I'm a golfer, so my heaven would then be to have a golf studio. So that for me. And then hopefully draw him into that as well, because I'm desperately trying to get him into golf. So I think, and that just demonstrates, there's me talking about that perfect home gym environment. I didn't just consider myself straight away. I might be the one paying for it, but the 15-year-old ultimately, if that can give him good life skills and allow him to do what he wants to do, and he brings his friends home, then guess what? He's not going to get distracted doing some of the things that maybe he shouldn't be doing in life.
Yeah, 100%.
He's actually going to be doing the right things in his home and spend more time at home. And I think the final thing then for me would be, that whole mind and body, having that ability to have a sauna and cold water therapy. So just an area dedicated to that. And I think if you can do that, I think you tick a lot of boxes for a lot of scenarios in your walk of life. I've just turned 50 now, and things definitely hurt more when you play sport and ache more post-sport. So
it's funny. I've been saying that like in my mid-20s. I'm like, things hurt more than they used to when I was 18. So I'm really not looking forward to hitting 50. That's for sure.
Don't pass your time away.
Honestly. All right, Paul. Look, that was really fun. I'm sure people are going to love listening to it. Tell everyone where they can find you. I'll make sure your links are in the description as well.
Brilliant. Yeah. So we're South Wales Garden Rooms, and you'll find us on Instagram. You'll find us on Facebook. You'll find our website. Again, please reach out to us and send us a message, and we'll gladly come out and we'll talk about all the things that we've talked about today on this podcast. And again, thanks ever so much for your opportunity, for inviting me along today.
No, absolutely, mate. Thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on, buddy. Speak soon.
Brilliant. All the best. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Take care.